All right, guys, so today here we are looking at graphing and writing inequalities, okay? So what we're doing is we're kind of going to do some problems here together. And what we're going to do is we're going to do all the odds, and then I'm going to give you about 10 minutes to do the evens, then we'll check the evens, and then you got your practice problems on the back, okay? Now, today we are simply looking at graphing and writing inequalities, all right? Now, what an inequality is, it is where you are saying there is not one answer that would make something true, but it is a section of answers or a bigger portion of answers, okay? So typically in inequality, you've heard it before. It's when you have greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, okay? That's what all of this information is and things that they are doing, okay? So just some quick notes that I'm going to make up top here is when you think about greater than or equal to, that is when it is going to face the variable, okay? So more often than not, when we see something, we would say that it is greater than, okay, when it faces the first thing, okay? So in our case, we would say that this is greater than, okay? And then this would be less than, okay? So greater than is when it faces the front thing, less than is when it faces the second object. Are y'all with me? Okay? Now, if you add a line underneath them, all that's saying is that it is greater than or equal to. So if you have the same thing where it faces the first object with the line underneath, this just simply means greater than, okay, or equal to. And what that's saying is it can include the number that it's there, okay? And then the same thing vice versa. If it faces the other way, it is now not just less than, it is less than, okay, or equal to. All right, those are the things, those are the ideas that we are looking at, okay? Questions on that? All right, now let's come down here and look through some of these, okay? So the first thing we're going to look at is what graphing an inequality is like, okay? So if you look at number one, the verbiage that we're going to want to speak here is we would say B, and then here's what you got to think of. Is that inequality facing the B or is it facing something else? Something else, okay? So how this is read is it means B is less than or equal to -1. Now, when I think of inequalities, to think what is bigger or smaller, do you see how you've got your inequality and it is facing the right-hand side like this, right? Is everybody with me? I think about that being an alligator's mouth, and it always wants to eat whatever is bigger. So like sometimes you'll see I draw little alligator teeth in there to let me know that it's eating whatever is bigger. All right, now, here's what happens when you go to graph an inequality. You are going to have a dot at whatever number is in your inequality. So as we look at this, what number is in our inequality here? -1. So we're going to start with a dot at -1. Now, here's the part. Your dot can either be open, like you see it originally here, or it can be closed when it is filled in. Are y'all with me? Here's how you know. If your inequality has a line underneath it, your dot should be filled in. If there is not one like there is in number 3, then it would stay open. So our example here in number 1 should be a filled in dot. Okay? Now, as we look at this, this is saying that B is less than or equal to -1. Well, if we look at this, we are saying that -1 is the biggest answer that it could be, correct? Okay, now, think of a number line. As you go to the right, your numbers are getting smaller or bigger? Bigger. If you go to the left, they are getting smaller. In this case, If we want negative 1 to be the biggest thing, then all our other answers that make this true have to be smaller. Look, it's correct. I did say to the left. So listen to what I'm saying. This is saying that negative 1 is the biggest number. So if I want everything to be smaller, I've got to go to the left because those are negative numbers that make it smaller. Are you with me? Okay. So to finish this graph, all you got to do is take it and extend a line with an arrow. So what we're saying is, to make this true, B could be any value from negative 1 and down. So negative 1 and smaller. Questions? You feeling okay? All right. Let's look at number 3 then. Okay. Number 3 says X is less than negative 2. Okay. So they're asking us to graph this. Where are we going to put our dot? Negative 2. Does your dot stay open or do we need to close it? Stays open. That is absolutely correct. Now, as you look at your inequality, is it facing the X or is it facing the negative 2? It is not facing the X. Look, you got to think about that being a mouth that is going to open it. It is facing the negative 2. You're trying to look at this as being what it's facing, right? No, think about it as an alligator eating something. Okay? So it's eating the negative 2, that's the biggest number. Well, then that means X has to be everything smaller than that, which is to the left. Okay? Okay, all right, let's look at number 5. Where's our dot going to go on number 5?
Positive 2.
Positive 2. Is it going to be open or closed? Open, that is correct. It is not going to go to the right. Look at this again. Your inequality is facing the number 2. If you were going to think about that as something that was eating, it's going to eat the 2 because that's the way the mouth is facing. You see that?
Yeah.
So that means P's got to be everything smaller. Well, everything smaller is going to be to the left. Okay. All right. Now, number 7 is one that's going to be slightly different, right? Let's look at number 7. Where's our dot going to go? Negative 4. And is it going to be open or closed? Closed. The reason it is closed is it has the or equal to, the line underneath. Now, looking at this one, what is the inequality eating? The R. So that R has to be bigger than negative 4. Well, which direction shows the numbers getting bigger?
Right.
To the right. So our arrow would go to the right. Questions on that? You feeling okay? All right. I'm going to keep working these because y'all are going to do all the ones on the right side here in a second. Number 9. N is greater than negative 3. Where's our dot going to go? Open or closed? Open. And then N is bigger, so we want everything to which direction? The right. That would be correct. Any questions on that? Okay. All right. Now, let's move to the next thing we're going to do today. The next thing we're going to do is you are going to be given the graph. You have to write the inequality. Okay? So, it does not matter which variable you choose. Okay, it doesn't matter. You can choose whatever you want to. What do you think I'm going to choose to be easy? The X. I'm probably always going to choose X just to keep it simple. All right. Now, here's what you know you have to have. And you can see this from the ones above. We know that we're going to have a variable. We know we're going to have a number. And then we're going to have to decide on the inequality. Okay. So, as I look at this, I've got my variable X. What number am I going to choose? -5. That is correct. I'm going to choose the number where the dot is. Okay, now, here are the things to know, and I'm going to make a little cheat sheet out here to the side. If it is greater than or less than, you would have an open dot. If it is greater than or equal to, you would have a closed dot. Well, in this case, as we look at the first one, is our dot open or closed? Open. So, well, yeah. Well, you'll see. So you know you're going to choose one of these two up top, right? You got to choose what's in red up here because you want either greater than or less than. What you got to decide, what direction does this go in? It goes to the right. So it wants the variable to be bigger. So the alligator always wants to eat what is bigger, so it would be X is greater than -5. Does anybody have any questions on how we got that? Okay. Let's go look at this second one, number 13. Okay, here, we know we got to start with our variable. Next thing to look at, what number is our dot at? -2. Okay. Now, which direction is our line going? To the left. So what needs to be bigger? The number, the negative, because they're getting smaller. So you know it's going to face the negative. However, was our dot open or closed? Closed, because it is filled in. So it's got to be or equal to. Are there any questions with how I'm getting this? Anybody? All right, let's look at 15. We've got to start with our variable. Where is our dot at? What number? 2. Does the graph go to the left or does it go to the right? To the left. Good. So what's got to be bigger, the number or the variable? The number, yeah. Okay. It's an open dot, so we just leave it as is. Okay. 2 more for us to work, and then I'm going to give you some time. 17. Okay. We got to start with our variable. Where is our dot? 6. Is it to the left or to the right? To the left. So what's got to be bigger? Why would the variable be bigger if everything's got to be smaller than 6? Okay. Is the dot open or closed? Okay. Let's look at this last one. Here you know you've got to have your variable. What is the number the dot is at? 2. Does it go to the right of 2 or is it to the left? To the right. So everything's got to be bigger than 2. So do we want it facing 2 or do we want it facing X? X. Because X has to be bigger than the number 2. It is an open dot, so we are done. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pause this, and I'm going to give you all about 8 minutes to get the right side done. Cool? Then we'll go over it. Ready, set, go. All right, now we're going to go check the right-hand side. I just need you to stop me if you have a question in here. Want to make sure we go, and then we'll see who gets what right. All right, so on the first one here, you've got n, and then you've got -5. So you know you're going to have a dot at -5. It is going to stay open. Okay, and then since -5 is the biggest thing, your arrow is going to go to the left. All right, number 4, you have a dot at 5, and it is going to be closed because it's saying k is greater than or equal to. Well, since k has to be bigger than 5, it needs everything to the right because those are where your bigger numbers are. All right, number 6, you're going to have a dot at 3, and it's going to stay open. Here, again, the inequality is saying m is bigger because the mouth is facing that where it would bite down. So you want everything to the right. Number 8, it is saying x is less than or equal to 1. So you know you're going to have a dot at 1, but it's going to be a closed dot. Here your mouth is facing the number 1, so it needs everything to be smaller than 1. So you want to go to the left. Talk to me.
Would it be possible if you have a positive that it can still go to the left?
Yep.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Just did, yeah. It is very possible for that. Okay. All right. Here, you've got p is less than or equal to -5. So you're going to have a dot on -5. But here, it's pointing to -5, so you need to go the opposite way, which is to the left, because everything needs to be smaller than -5. All right. Questions on those? Did anybody? How did we do? Did we get a lot of those right? All of them right. Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. No cap. He's wearing a visor. All right. Look at these next ones. This next one is all about writing your inequalities. Okay. So remember, you've got to start with your variable. Okay. Then you find where your dot is. Here it's -6. Okay. Is the graph going to the right or the left is my next thing. It is going to the right. Okay, so your variable needs to be bigger. Since the dot is open, you leave it right there. Okay. On 14, same idea. You got to start with your variable. The dot is at -2. Again, it has got everything going to the right, so the variable needs to be bigger. It's an open dot, so you leave it. On 16, start with your variable. Here, your number is -1. Again, everything has got to be bigger, so it's going to face the x. Yes, but since it is a closed dot, you've got to have it underlined on the inequality. So it's saying x is greater than or equal to -1. Okay? 2 more examples here. Again, you start with your variable. The number is -2. And here it does have to be less than because it's saying any of your answers have to be smaller than -2. So you want your inequality to face -2. And then you keep it without an underline because it is an open dot. Here on number 20, this will show you, Hayden, kind of what you asked for. You start with your x. Your number is 3. So it is a +3, but notice the graph is everything to the left. So it wants everything smaller than 3. So your inequality's got to face the number 3 because that's the biggest, and it's got the line underneath since it is a filled-in dot. How do we do on that section? Good. All right, so what you're doing here in class, you can see it on the back on Canvas. You can see you have some practice problems. So again, it looks very identical to this. There are 20 practice problems. Highly suggest you do them all, but you need to at least do as many as you need to make sure you understand what's going on. Tomorrow, we're going to work at solving these, okay? So a little bit more things, but you're going to have to do a step to get where it is. So it's kind of like the one-step equations that we did the other day. That's what we'll be doing tomorrow. So y'all go ahead and knock this out. Let me know if there's any questions. Ready, set, go.